a whirlwind is a good word. It's surreal. I haven't had a time to stop at all. But I will be able to at the end of this year. And it's just been crazy. Like, yeah, it feels like the Tennessee Orange music video was recorded like 2 weeks ago, and that was 2 days after Christmas last year. Yeah, so I was actually recording my debut album, Lucky, in the studio. We were doing I think the scratch vocals for Kansas Anymore, and Jamie Johnson walks in, and I went on tour with him like August and September of last year, and so I thought he was just coming by, because that was in the end of last year, I guess, and he came in, and I thought he was just saying hello, and he had Dina Carter on FaceTime, and I was like, what's going on? And that's when they were like, how would you like to make your Grand Ole Opry debut? And so that was a really exciting day. Definitely won't forget him walking in with Dina Carter on the phone. I think Strawberry Wine was like one of the first songs I learned how to play on guitar, so it's a cool full circle moment. And yeah, then the actual Opry debut, I don't think I've ever been more nervous in my entire life. I had obviously from that point like played in front of bigger crowds and stuff, but it's definitely just like the environment there. Like, I stepped into the circle at soundcheck and I just started crying. I was like, I don't know why I'm crying, but here we are. And right before I go on stage, Vince Gill is like, hey, I'm Vince Gill. And I'm like, I know. But it was a special night. And I got to play the Opry again, and it was a lot less nerve-wracking, but still very special.
I feel like I'm a veteran at this point.
First time, though, I don't know what's in the air, but it is crazy, yeah. Yeah, I wrote my first song when I was 19 years old. I was a freshman at the University of Georgia, and Chase Rice, he had met me at a sorority event because I was an opener for John Langston, even though it was just me playing 3 like Miranda Lambert songs probably, just because they didn't have a budget to pay me, but I was in the sororities. They're like, you go get up there and do something. So he met me through that and was like, you know, I'm playing at the Georgia Theater next month. It's not sold out yet. I'll add you to the bill if you bring all these girls, but you have to write your like a first original song and perform it, because don't just come and play covers. So I was like, okay, I have a month to write it. So I wrote my first song called Stay a Memory, and I performed it. And yeah, it's obviously, I didn't put it out, but maybe one day I'll like tease it or something.
That feels like a movie or something, what you've just described.
Yeah. It is truly crazy, because I went to school to be an accountant, and here we are.
Using a lot of that accounting skill, I'm sure.
A little bit, but I kind of zone out during those kind of meetings. I'm like, my brain hurts.
So was there a moment where you were like, oh, I guess like this could be my career. I don't have to do people's taxes. I don't even know what an accountant does, my God.
Taxes.
But yeah, was it the Chase Rice, like opening for Chase Rice, or was there like another moment where you were like, oh my God, this could be something?
Yeah, so I like in high school I was like in chorus in the a cappella choir, and I did musical theater, but that was just like for fun, and I always sang with my dad, and I played guitar a little bit, but so I had not played like a proper show. Like those were all like a group thing or something just totally different than like writing your own song and performing it. And when I did that my spring semester of my freshman year, I like fell in love with it, and I was like, I want to move to Nashville. I'm just going to drop out. I want to move. And my parents were like, yeah, that's not happening. But after that, I was pretty dead set on moving to Nashville, because I was like, you know, even if this doesn't work out, I know that I was making like bad grades on my accounting tests at this point. And I was like, you know, maybe that's not for me, but I'm going to try to do the music thing. And if I can't write good songs, or I get there and it just doesn't work, I at least want to work in the music business, because music is like what actually is making me happy. So I ended up switching my major from accounting to marketing, digital marketing, and music business. And that's what I graduated with. I didn't drop out. And here we are. I applied and I got into the music business program at UGA, and they make you have an internship. So my first internship, I worked at the Classic Center, which is like a venue in Athens. But the next semester, I had to get a different one, and the head of the music business program over there, David Barbie, was like, the best thing that this program can offer you is an internship with the Bush brothers. It's Brandon Bush and Christian Bush, and it's publishing, and you're going to learn like about songwriting and how to do the, like, I guess, administrative side of that. So go do that, and it's going to suck because you kind of have to drive to Atlanta like twice a week, and it would be a lot easier if you just worked at the Classic Center again, but you need to go do this. And so that's how I met Christian, and he didn't even know that I was a songwriter or that I sang until after the internship was over, so.
And how did he find out? Were you like, by the way?
Well, honestly, I walked in and there were Grammys on the wall, and I was like, oh, these are legit musicians. I'm not. I've written like 3 mediocre songs about an ex-boyfriend, so I'm not gonna walk in like I'm a songwriter. And so, yeah, that internship ended. I graduated in 2020, so middle of COVID, and I moved on June 1st of 2020 to Nashville. From June till like October, I was trying to write and meet people, and it just wasn't working out. So I was writing a lot alone, and so advice from publishers were that I need to get demos made, and I was like, the only person that I know that can make a demo is Christian Bush. So I just called him and I was like, hey, can I pay you guys to just like help me out? It'll like make me look more professional if I have them like in demo form and not work tape form. And so they agreed to help me out, and then since then it's just worked. So.
And then he's like, let me produce this because we got something going here.
Yeah, I mean, like, at first, we didn't do anything with those demos. It was really just, like, those demos, he showed Julie Griffith, who's my manager now. She was a publisher in town for a really long time. And she then started helping me get in rights with, like, good songwriters. And, yeah, I think at that point, she was like, okay, we need to spend the next, like, 2 or 3 years just writing, working on it, and then it was like a year went by, and she was like, oh, wait, you're kind of ready to do an EP, so Christian agreed to help out, and he's my go-to guy now, so. I actually got turned down a lot, not obviously by the people that are on my record, but for a long time, it was like, oh, she doesn't have a publishing deal, I'm not writing with her, and so I wrote with literally anyone that wanted to write with me. Literally anyone, because I was writing 5 times a week, so I was like, you know, they tell you need to meet your group of people, and I feel like at first I didn't have that, so I was like, okay, I will literally write with anyone and see what works. And then eventually Julie, like, once these songs that I was turning into her were, like, getting better, she was like, okay, I'll put you in a room with someone that has a couple number ones, and, like, see how that goes. And for those rights where it was, like, they were, like, really impressive songwriters, I mean, like, I would show up to these rights with, like, 5 half-written songs and be like, which one do you want to write? Because I didn't want to just pull up and be like, I don't know, what do you want to write? You know, like, I wanted it to at least look like I knew what I was doing. And so I did that, and, yeah, it wasn't until, like, after I released my EP, and, like, I think it was the song Hair Salon that got the attention of a lot of Nashville songwriters, and, more people started to say yes and, like, just find out who I was, too, I guess. I feel like for a while, I released my EP in 2022, so COVID kind of screwed up things for a long time. But I started to play writers' rounds and just, like, meet people the way everyone does in Nashville, and they started to agree to want to write with me, so. Yeah, I think Girl in the Mirror definitely has the most important message of all the songs on the record, and I am, like, the songwriter that's like, I want to say something important, like, even if it's something that's, like, not that important, like realizing your self-worth, but, like, I just want it to say something and make you feel something. And so as far as the whole record goes, I think that definitely has the most important message, though. I've seen it, like, resonate with my fans. Like, that's the one where girls are hugging their friends, group crying, like, having a full-on therapy session at my shows, and that's from, like, the first time I saw a group of, like, 7-year-old little girls screaming the song, and I cried singing it the first time I saw girls that young sing that song, because I'm like, y'all don't even know yet. I was like, protect yourself. But I think, like, you know, and then I've seen, like, older women sing it too, like, somebody's grandma's out in the crowd crying, and so I think it's, like, definitely hitting a lot of people, unfortunately. But I think it's a good reminder, and I wrote that with Jesse Joe Dillon and Matt Jenkins, and that was the first time I even met those 2 people, and we wrote, and, you know, we were just kind of talking that song for me was not even about like a specific relationship. I feel like I consistently will like get into relationships with people I know that aren't good for me, and I will just shrink myself to try to make it work, even though like in the back of my head I'm like, this was never going to work, like a million red flags, why are you doing that? But I think unfortunately a lot of people can relate to that, and so writing it was really therapeutic because we talked for like 2 hours about past relationships and stuff. And then I was like, wait, I have this title, Girl in the Mirror. Like, she loves a boy more than she loves a girl in the mirror. And I think we wrote it in like 30 or 45 minutes. And I just love how simple the chord progression is. It's like nothing fancy. And I definitely can tell at my shows that like that's the one that hits people the hardest. And I'm grateful for it because I think like writing that definitely healed a part of me that needed to be healed, and I'm glad that I have that as a reminder too, to sometimes if I'm slipping back into that, I'm like, girl, you can give advice, but you can't take it. So yeah, I love that one. But yeah, I'm Not Pretty. It's obviously based on a true story, and I'm like, when I have situations that like make me feel something, I'm like, okay, I'm not the only person that goes through this, so what would I want to hear in this moment? And I was like, honestly, I wouldn't want to feel like mean or sad about it. I want to just feel confident and be like, you know what, that doesn't bother me. And so I think like the title came from that. And then I wrote it with my friends, Ben Williams, Mackenzie Carpenter, and Micah Carpenter. And we're all such good friends that was like just a really easy one to write. And I think it's definitely a universal experience. We can all relate to either creeping or getting creeped on. And so it's kind of just like, okay, well, when that happens, just be confident. And I think it's also cool because nobody wants to be the mean girl in that song. You know what I mean? Like, and so I think that kind of is a cool thing about I'm Not Pretty. And the music video was really fun to make too because I casted my best friends in it. And then it kind of has, for me, the music video tells like a deeper story that's not the surface level. Like when I sing I'm Not Pretty, I'm not thinking about my ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend. I'm thinking about the people who have told me, oh, you're not this, you're not this, you're not this. And it's like, yeah, right. And so that's kind of like, there's a part in the music video where I am teaching the other girls to not like Megan Moroney, and it's like, can't sing, needs a stylist, like all these things, and like those are real things people have said. And so I think it's just, for me, it's like it's a confident anthem, and it's like, okay, yeah, right. So yeah, I really enjoyed doing that video, and it's a fun one to sing live. Everyone screams "Bless Your Heart" and the yeah rights, and just it's a mood. It's a mood.
You're a Georgia Bulldog. Why are you wearing Tennessee orange in general?
Yeah, I mean that's a good question, and that's actually when I had never put on another shirt of another school in my life because I grew up a Georgia Bulldog. Like, you don't do that. I don't have Alabama stuff. I don't have. Also, though, the song never would have been called Florida Orange because we don't do that. But Tennessee Orange was not so bad. But when I did have a different school on and I looked in the mirror, I was like, my mom would kill me. And so it's another one of those moments where like I was like, okay, wait. I'm feeling something. How do I make this cool? And then that's when I came up with, in Georgia, they'd call it a sin. I'm wearing Tennessee Orange for him. And then I was like, okay, this can be a love song, and it's like not a conventional love song because I think people can tell that I don't write too many of those because I'm just like not great at it. But it's like, I'm not madly in love with you, but I will wear a color for you in a shirt because I care about you. And I think that was just like the cheeky songwriting coming through with that one. But yeah, I definitely don't belong in Tennessee Orange as a Georgia Bulldog. I mean, we wrote it and it was a song that I loved, but we weren't like, oh, we got to cut this immediately. You know, it was like, okay, I wrote this football song, and even putting it out, you know, like I put it out as an independent artist, and I think like as someone who hadn't gone through it, if I would have thought like, what is my breakout moment going to be? It wasn't going to be a song that was recorded, mixed, mastered, and turned in 48 hours. You know what I mean? Like, and wasn't done like just last minute. And it's definitely not conventional or not how I thought it was going to go. But it's crazy. I mean, I guess you never know. That's the thing about putting out music. You're just like, you don't know what's going to resonate with people. And I knew that like there was something special about it because when I teased it on TikTok a couple weeks after I wrote it, or days or something, and people were already doing the trend. It became like a really popular trend on TikTok and the internet to like have you and your significant other just like cute clips. And that became a thing even with it wasn't even the studio version, it was me and a guitar. So I was like, that's interesting because they didn't do that with any of my other songs. But I didn't really think too much into it. And then we put it out solely because Spotify was like, we're going to do this campaign that helps independent artists. It's like the Fresh Finds program. We'll like help you and it'll be promoted and we just need it by this date. This is the date it's going to come out. And I was like, well, that's like football season. So we have this football song, Tennessee Orange. We might as well just put it out and that'll be like it'll be an easy marketing thing because it's football season. And we like really didn't think too much more than that. We were like, okay, we gave Spotify the song and now it's out. Cool. And then, yeah, a couple weeks later it was like, oh, I think people really like this one. At first it's like, I don't know, it was like a little weird because you're like, oh, everyone wants to know, but then it's like, I'm writing about my life and it's personal, so I get it. I'm a fan, you know, like you hear a song on the radio and you're like, I wonder what that's about. And so I think it's like normal and just something that comes with it. And, I mean, I'm not used to any of that because I feel like I'm a baby artist. But, yeah, I learned that, you know, if you write something personal, people are going to wonder, and that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. Well, that was mainly like, so Why Johnny, my co-writer brought in the title, Why Johnny, but he was like, why Johnny did you set the bar so high? And that was going to be the song we were going to write, and I was like totally down to write about them. Iconic country music couple, but I don't know enough like about their actual relationship to write a whole song, so let's just like look it up. And when we looked it up, you know, they tell you, I feel like one of the first things I learned about them was they met backstage at the Grand Ole Opry, and you're like, oh, romantic, and it's like they were actually married to two different people when they met, and I was like, okay, so like not as romantic. But once I like learned that and we were kind of reading about their relationship, it's like it wasn't perfect. Eventually he was writing her poems every day and they were like very in love, but it like took a second to get there. And so I kind of like took what was going on in my personal life and I was like, wait, I wish I could just sit her down and be like, hey girl, what's up? How'd you know? And so that's kind of how that happened. Yeah, it wasn't, I was just looking up Johnny and June and their relationship and stuff, so. Yeah, I mean, I think like that and Tennessee Orange are the only like love songs on the record. But I almost didn't cut it because it was a love song, and I was like, no, my debut album, like we have Tennessee Orange, we don't need any more love songs. But we wrote that day because I had written most of the album. I think like all the other 12 songs were written, and they were like, so once you get to that point and you have time to write, it's like, okay, well, what is it really missing? Like, are you missing anything? Let's fill any holes. Or anything that you think you need to say. And I was like, honestly, there's not that many love songs, but like, I don't write love songs. I love sad songs. And that's where with the I love sad songs, that's how it started with, okay, sad songs for sad people. And that's how it was like, okay, well, we're going to give you your sad song fix, but it's going to be a love song. And I think it definitely like completes the album. And, yeah, I think it's cool that like there's a lot of heartbreak, and then at the end you're like, wait, is she in love?
I love that.
And it's similar to Tennessee Orange in that like I was like, oh, Tennessee Orange isn't this like I'm so in love with you song. It's like I'm wearing Tennessee Orange for him. It's the same thing because like in the second verse I'm like, I really like the way I really don't hate spending my time with you, because we wrote it in a way that like I have a hard time, I guess, having or like being like, oh, I'm in love, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't hate hanging out with you. Like it's not the worst thing ever.
And that's what I get for I love you.
Yeah, that basically means I love you. And I think it still kind of fits the vibe of like I'm damaged. But yeah.
But in love.
But in love.
Yeah, that's the complexity.
I mean, what I've learned from my headlining shows is that I have the best fans in the world. They are so passionate. They show up like as early as you can show up to these places, and they've made merch, and they have posters, and it's just insane. I feel so comfortable at my headlining shows because I know that like for Sad Songs for Sad People is the least streamed song on the album, but I know every night they're going to scream every single word, you know what I mean? And so it's a really, like, comforting thing to be able to have these shows and know that, like, my fans are going to show up for me in that way. And I think, you know, like, I've also learned that being on the road is hard and exhausting, but, like, having fans that are so passionate, like, they make it 100% worth it. So it's been just really fun to, you know, I play the whole record on tour. Like, we play all 13 songs, and they don't miss a word. And so it's just, like, I feel the love from them so much, and it's been amazing. Like, because, you know, you start headlining shows, and you're like, are people even going to show up? You know, because this is my show. I was opening for people before, and, like, yeah, there's going to be people there because there's someone else playing. But, like, when you have your own show, you're like, are people going to come? And they're the best.
And that's the kind of fan you want, right? You don't want casual fans. You want the
Yeah.
people who've done the research.
It's been insane. Like, they're just so passionate, and it really makes it worth it, because I being on the road is really tough, but to, like, see all my fans in a different city, but they're the same vibe. Like, they show up in sparkly dresses, and they've got, like, the poof going. They got the boots on. It's just like, it's like a whole uniform, and they make it a whole event. And it's just really fun to be able to sing all of the songs off Lucky every night with them.